Um, it was December 1951. My dad had become a school teacher up here, I believe, in '49, and he was very proud of the fact that he was the first male elementary school teacher in the San Diego area. Now, it was a really neat school. You know, you knew everybody and every one of the teachers. You could, like, I talk about Miss Days all the time, you know, third grade, Mr. Breen in fourth grade, and Miss Gluck in fifth grade, and then Mrs. Miller had sixth grade, I think, because my dad had stopped teaching sixth grade in Solana Beach and got into his principal. And then after 57, we moved back to Glenmont, but we were able to buy the Craft House. First it was a Norris family built that. When we lived 347, I remember that house being built and knew the kids, and Mrs. Norris used to make homemade root beer, and so she treated the kids every once in a while to those things. That was a big deal. And Mr. Kraft was a colonel in the Marine Corps, and they had retired, bought the house from Norris's, and then in '58 when we bought the house from the Crafts, when we came back from Oceanfront 26th Street, we moved into 404 Glenmont, and we stayed there until, well, my mom passed away. And then, yeah, it was a great time, great house great spot to live at. There was a family building it, and the husband was like the contractor of it, and they were putting a lot into it, you know, as far as family, and you could tell it was a well-loved house and well built, and there was nothing behind that. You know, the water tower was behind it, but behind that, east, there was no Interstate 5, no Glencrest, no Earl Warren. None of that stuff existed. That was there was one interesting thing up there. When I was a Cub Scout, during the this was just after the Korean War, so it was probably 53, 54. There were still on observation posts where the fire station is now. And the observation post, we called it a spaceship. It was shaped like a sphere, you know. And kids loved to volunteer for it and go up there. And it was a duty. We had to watch aircraft and record every aircraft that went by and every vessel that went by. And there was a lot of Navy vessels back then that we got to know, and as children, it was very interesting. Actually, initially it wasn't that bad. They had an afternoon one called the Evening Tribune, and I was probably in fourth grade when I started, and two brothers had the town basically tied up. One had from Glenmont up, Canyon in that area, which wasn't a lot, and then his brother had from, nobody had Granados, and he had from Barbara all the way across 101. He's a little older. He did the morning paper too, I think. And the distributor of the newspaper lived up by Emino's, just up over the hill on Glenmont, and I told him I'd sure like to have a paper out sometime, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, you know, I don't have any customers on Granados. What can you do? So I went down and tried to get customers, and they were kind of, well, I don't know. And I didn't even own a bicycle at that point. So I talked him into giving me 10 papers for 2 weeks. And then I porched them to each one of these customers that I thought, and initially I got 10. I ended up with about 25 customers just on from, then it was called Plaza North on Granados, and it actually kind of became its own route. I think I had more customers than Tony Oboy did on the upper part total. So, and then then I had to do some morning routes to fill in for them when they, you know, vacation. They went to church Sunday morning early, and I would help deliver Sunday papers for them and stuff. So we didn't have a lot of organized Little League when I was a boy, but like Bob and Chuck, my brothers, both played for Tony's Hall. In fact, if you go in to Tony's, Catalina was just an amazing. Tony was a nice guy too. But anyway, if you go into Tony's, there's some pictures of out of the '80s when Bob and Chuck were on Tony's team. Bob was a pitcher for him, and they played over at Skyline School and had the best diamond. Actually, when I was too young for it, but where the Presbyterian church is now, that used to be a baseball diamond in there. And so it was a kind of natural seating area there in it, but it was more for adult. And I don't know if it was leagues, but I know the Wilkins brothers played in it, and